It's nearly 1 o'clock in the morning and I'm gonna talk about Solo. Hello everybody and welcome to my review of Solo, a Star Wars story. So this is a film that is one of the anthology Star Wars movies that doesn't fit in with the main saga as such. Kind of like what they did with Rogue One a couple of years ago. And this movie tells the story of Han Solo's younger years. It basically kind of explains all the things that we know about him, how he became friends with Chewbacca, how he got the Millennium Falcon, and the basic plot of the story is young Han is sort of what they call a scum rat on the streets of Corellia. He's just basically trying to survive, any way he can. He's falling in with a bad crowd, etc. He has a girlfriend played by Emilia Clarke, and the two of them get separated, and he vows that one day he's going to come back, he's going to get a ship, and they're going to fly off and live happily ever after. Which, I guess we all know that doesn't happen. Spoiler alert! So this movie was kind of plagued with a lot of production troubles. For those who don't know, Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, the two guys behind the Lego Movie and 21 Jump Street, were the original directors of this film, but due to creative differences, Ron Howard ended up being hired to take over. And because of that, and because someone else is playing Han Solo who's not Harrison Ford, this movie picked up a lot of naysayers on the internet, of course, where a whole bunch of people were getting on and hating this movie before they'd even seen it. I wasn't one of them. I honestly thought that Alden Ehrenreich, who plays young Han Solo in this, I thought he looked okay. And, no one's ever going to be able to replace Harrison Ford. That is just a fact. But since they can't exactly get Harrison Ford to play a younger version of himself, I thought Alden was fine. And I gotta say, he nailed the role in this movie. In my opinion, watching this guy on screen, it was just like watching a young Han Solo. I totally believed in the character, and that was a really essential part of this film because, let's face it, if we didn't believe what we were watching, that, if he didn't come across as Han Solo, it just wouldn't have been that good. At first I was appreciating, some of the things of how we find out how Han Solo got his gun and how he met Chewbacca and even how he got his name. But after a while, that started grating on me a little bit. I'll get to that in a minute. Other things I liked, like the movie looked really good. The costumes and locations and everything looked fine. But I've got to be perfectly honest, that's about where I draw the line. Now, a couple of years ago when I reviewed Rogue One, I've just got to get this out of the way, I believe I scored it an 8.5, but I think I just got caught up in the nostalgia of seeing Darth Vader and the Death Star and all these other things that I grew up with, and I think I overrated that movie a little bit because, let's face it, the character development was non-existent. I didn't feel for any of the characters in that film, and to be honest, I haven't actually watched it again since it came out on Blu-ray. So going into Solo, I went in with a completely different mindset. I thought, okay, I'm not going to be, wowed by the nostalgia. I'm not going to be taken over by that stuff. I'm going to think about this movie critically, and yeah, it was pretty much 2.25 hours of fan service. What I mean by that is, we get dealt with all these things of, like we've heard how the Millennium Falcon is the ship that made the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs. Did we really need to see that? And at first, like I said, it was kind of charming seeing all these things happen, but it was the entire runtime of the movie was how this happened and how that happened. And we get names of a lot of characters dropped from various other movies, which I'm not going to spoil anything here. And even a 90s PlayStation 1 console video game kind of gets a mention. But that's the thing, halfway through the movie, I was kind of like, come on, I'm kind of sick of hearing all these things. Like, they were getting to me a bit. And aside from that, the movie just wasn't that compelling. It had its fair share of action sequences, but they just weren't that much fun. I thought some of the characters were a bit flat. Emilia Clarke, who I think is great on Game of Thrones, her character in this, I just didn't really like her that much. Donald Glover as the younger version of Lando Calrissian, he was spot on. His voice in particular was absolutely Billy D. Williams to a T. But I gotta say, I didn't think much of his droid companion, L3. Wow, she was so irritating. She was so designed for 2018. She was this anti-racist, pro-feminist, equal rights movement, you know, kind of a character. And there was this weird, creepy relationship going on between her and Lando that just didn't sit well with me at all. Woody Harrelson is in the film as well, so is Paul Bettany, but really they just didn't stand out that much. Paul Bettany kind of plays the antagonist of the story, but there was no real threat, there was no stakes, there was nothing that they really needed to do. Like, it was just flat. And for a Star Wars film, honestly, there were a couple of moments in the film I was kind of drumming my fingers thinking, can we just get on to the next scene? Like, I was borderline bored in a couple of spots. And I don't know why, but they shoehorned in a character. I'm not going to say who it is, obviously, no spoilers here. A character makes a comeback in this film in a way, and I don't know why, other than to make the audience go, wow, it's that character. There was no reason for this character to be in this story at all, and it just kind of left more questions than answers at the end. I mean, here's a really good example. In the theater that I was in, because, I mean, you know, with early screenings, everyone's all like, yay, movie! And in the moment where you first see Han and Chewie in the cockpit, like, you know, in the controls of the Millennium Falcon, like, yeah, there was this big clap and a cheer from the audience, but I didn't feel it. So, I wanted so badly to love this movie. I honestly thought they could have made such a great kind of a heist movie with edge-of-the-seat action sequences and fun, but in the end, I don't even know if I'd see it again at the movies. I mean, obviously, I'm going to add it to the collection someday, probably on day one. Who am I kidding? But I don't feel compelled to watch it again. It wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen. Look, it's watchable, but yeah, for a Star Wars film, I was really disappointed. And I'm going to give Solo, a Star Wars story, a 6 out of 10. You know, especially since the night before, I went and saw Deadpool 2, which was so much fun, and it was hilariously funny, and it was entertaining. You know, I just didn't get it from this. But that's enough about me rambling on about Solo. Over to you guys. If you've seen Solo, or, you know, you're probably going to see it despite what I've just said, let me know what you thought of it. I would really love to hear other people's thoughts on this film, because the reviews I've seen so far have been pretty mixed. Like, most of them have been positive. I don't know if I'm in a minority here, so let me know what you thought of it. And coming soon, I'm going to be doing a spoiler discussion video with my friend Chandler Langley from the US. Well, we talked about doing it anyway, so I assume we're still going to do it. But in the meantime, let me know what you thought of Solo. Drop me some comments either here or on Facebook. All the social media links are in the description below, because I like to talk about movies, and I would love to talk about movies with you. I'm off to bed.
Click subscribe to stay up to date with all the latest movie reviews. Skynet will be taking over any day now, so what have you got to lose? Nyah.